Yes, it is.
On my channel today called Jacqueline Summers, and she's from Jackie's Plant Haven. As I said, she's a queen of plants. Anything plants, check her channel, okay? So I remember watching one of your episodes, and you were talking about perennials and annuals, and I'm hoping I'm calling them correct.
Yes.
What are they? What's the difference? And tell us all about that.
Okay, so when you're doing your gardens, especially if you're doing outdoor gardening, you have to decide what kind of plants do you want in your garden, and what kind of maintenance are you willing to, put into taking care of your plants. Now, annuals, those are plants that grow in one season. So from say for instance, spring right into summer, right down into fall, they grow and bloom and die in one season, right? So after that season is over, depending on your plant zone, actually. So depending on your plant zone, those plants, they just die after they bloom. And then the next year, say after the winter, the next year you have to plant those again. So we call them annuals because they just last for a year. But the perennials, now these are plants that once you put them in the ground, they come back year after year. So even after they bloom and you get the flowers, and then the season is done, and then winter comes along, then those plants, they will die off, but then they come back up the next season. So with perennials, you only need to plant them once and they come back every year. So that's the main difference.
I'm sorry, I thought it was the other way around. Also,
yes.
You mentioned something about plant zone. Could you go into that? Because I watched your video, and guys, remember, I'm going to put some of these videos in the description box, and look out for those links to click on. And after this video, so you could go and see what she's been talking about over the last couple of weeks and months. But
yes.
Could you go a little deeper into the plant zone? Because you said you're in zone 4 or 5.
Yeah, so I'm actually in a zone 5, and here in Canada, our zones go from say 0 to 9, where 0 is the coldest zone. And so when you are buying plants, you typically on the label, you will see the plant hardiness. So the hardiness zone will tell you where those plants will survive. So for me, if I am going to plant something in the ground, I want to look to see, is it a zone 5 and below? Because I'm a zone 5, I know that if I buy a plant that's a zone, say 0 to 5, then those will survive the harsh winter. But if I'm going to buy a plant that is, say, a zone 9, because we go from, say, 0 to 9 in Canada, if I'm going to buy a plant and it says the hardiness zone is zone 9, it will not survive during the winter. Right. So you want to check to see what your plant hardiness zone is. And the quickest way to do that is you can just use the Promise Almanac website, and you can just plug it in and just type your zip code, whether you're Canada, US, wherever you are, you put in your zip code and it will tell you what your hardiness zone is. And then you can buy your plants based on the zone.
So we're both from Jamaica. Does the Jamaicans have to do that too? The plants?
Oh no. So for those people who have the tropical climate where they don't deal with winters, they don't deal with harsh winters. Okay. They don't have to worry about zones. So
I know we don't have the winters, but I was just thinking in terms of the plant zone and the.
Okay. Yeah, so the zone doesn't affect them because so what a plant that is an annual in my zone, like a plant that is an annual here that only lasts one season, if I'm in, say, the Caribbean and I have that in the ground, that can last for longer than just a year because they don't have to deal with the harsh conditions of the weather. So depending on your climate, you might not have to worry about the zone at all.
Okay, and then the zone is only a concern if you're planting on the outside. It's a house.
If you're exactly.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
So if someone was supposed to, before I even go there, there was something else that I discovered when watching one of your videos. The frost date. You started off by saying, my last frost date was for 1 year, whatever the date was. And I'm like, huh? So as I said,
Yeah.
guys, I've been learning a lot of things on her channel. You need to.
So, so when you talk about the frost date, what happens is that many gardeners, especially those who do vegetables and they want to, grow what they eat what they grow, you can start your seeds from indoors. So you don't have to wait until it's just always consistently nice and sunny. You can start your seeds indoors, but you can't plant them in the ground until your last frost date. Now, the last frost date has to do with the last date when you can have like a frost or a snow that could actually kill those seedlings if you put them in the ground. So like for me, my last frost date is going to be May 4. So all the seeds that I'm starting indoors, I will not put them in the ground until anytime after May 4, because I know I won't have to worry about them being frostbitten or anything like that. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then
And you can also use the Farmers Almanac website to check.
From you, so I'm thinking maybe it's around. I didn't get a chance to research before, but I'm thinking maybe it would be about the same time here in Michigan, about May 4th. Is it? You think? Would it be?
Probably, because usually it's around about early May when you will find that. But as again, you can always check the Farmers Almanac website, and you can just put it in. Once your zone is there, you put in your time zone, then they can quickly just tell you what your last frost date is going to be. Your area code, sorry, your code. Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. So now, if someone in my audience decided that, okay, I'm going to start gardening this year, I'm going to do something, whether it's a backyard garden or whether it's a little potty thing, what are some of the must-have tools or some of the things that they must have in order to start? Whether they're in the tropics, whether they're in Canada, US, UK, wherever. What are some must-have tools and stuff that they need to have?
Okay, so you first of all decide whether you're going to be gardening outdoors in like on a patch of land, or are you going to be doing container gardening, right? Because for some people who live in apartments or you don't have a piece of land, you can grow in containers. So you will decide on that first, and then you're going to need your soil for sure. You will need gloves. You will need a good set of bypass pruners. Those are absolutely essential. You're going to need the watering can or a hose. You're going to need your seeds. You're going to need your seed pods to get your seeds started, right? Those are just some basic tools. And gardening tools are not expensive. If you go to the dollar store, you can see even lots of gardening tools that are there now that you can actually use to get you started with your gardening.
Okay, cool. All right. So now, as the season progresses, if someone from the audience should come to Jackie's garden and see what you're doing, what would be some of the fruits or what some of the plants or whatever they'll see in your garden? What are some of the
my garden? Okay. All right. So I keep a list of the stuff that I grow in my garden. So right now in my garden, you would find roses, and I have different types of roses. There's one called the Rose of Sharon. It's a rose that can survive the winter because it's similar to the hibiscus. Now we know the hibiscus back home. The hibiscus it cannot survive outside, right? But that, if you love the hibiscus, and the Rose of Sharon is similar to the hibiscus, so that one is hardy. I have tulips, I have hydrangeas, I have hyacinths, which are scented. When those bloom, you smell, it's like a perfume. It's just really nice smelling. I have lilies. Lilies also give you scent. Cornflowers, I have hostas and daffodils, a few others too. In my vegetable garden, I grow kale, callaloo, tomatoes, beans, cantaloupe, thyme, pepper, green onions, or we call it scallion, but scallion is not the same as green onions, right? And this year I'm going to be growing some watermelon again. I do grow watermelon from time to time. Cucumbers.
So do that. I don't mean to interrupt you, but tell us, because I'm thinking, when you think about watermelon, because I grew up in Manchester and I remember anything on the vine, the pumpkin, the watermelon, it needs a lot of space to just run.
Right. Yes, so
That's the
I have
blooming
two.
apartment. Watermelon in here? I
I
don't
know
know.
it would be hard for you to grow the watermelon in an apartment. So you would need a piece of land because it runs on a vine, like on the ground, almost like how you grow the watermelon, the cantaloupe and the pumpkin. Those grow like flat and run on the ground. So you'd have to get a piece of land and contain it in a certain area. So I don't grow the watermelon every year. I do it like probably every other year. But I mean, the first time I did watermelon, I was like just so amazed at how easy it was to grow and how tasty it was. It was so tasty, right? So yes. So I mean, the thing is, I love to experiment. I just love to experiment. And one thing I can tell you, between um, the end of spring, going into summer, going into fall, I do not buy any vegetables at all from the store. I grow all the vegetables. If I don't grow it, I'm not gonna eat it. I just make sure I grow everything I eat during that season. But it's not just because of the land. If you have just containers, you can choose the ones you grow in a container. So you can grow tomatoes in containers. You can grow peppers, sweet pepper or Scotch bonnet pepper. So you can choose to grow just a few things. Kale, even callaloo can be grown in a container. Spinach, those can also be grown. And kale, as I said before, you can grow those vegetables in a container. And if you just have a sunny balcony outside, you just put it there and there you go.
And again, everybody, don't forget to subscribe on our channels. Mine is According to Michelle's, hers is
Yes.
Jackie's Plant Haven, and there is a video dedicated to doing all the fruits and all the videos and all the vegetables. Okay, so go
Yes.
on over and check it out. All right. No, I know each